Let's get started. My name is Richard Clark, and I want to wish you a good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're located on the globe. Good day. And I'd like to welcome you to the first InduSoft webinar of 2015. We actually did start the webinar. The topic today is security guidance, cybersecurity guidance for industrial automation. And I have a few preliminary announcements before we get started. As with all our webinars, we won't be able to hear you speak since your phone or computer will be muted. If you need to ask a question, please feel free to write it in the WebEx chat or QA boxes on your interface, and we will be able to see the questions and comments and be able to respond to them in the Q&A section later in the webinar. Next, you will be asked to fill out a short survey soon after the webinar, and if you do take a few minutes to fill it out, we will send you one of our famous InduSoft webinar t-shirts as a thank you gift. I think this is a new series of them that just came in before the new year, so if you're collecting them, there's a new one just waiting to join your collection. By the way, we use these surveys to get input about you, input from you about the webinar and what we can improve or add to the webinars or topics or that sort of thing. Your contact information is never used or sold by anyone else, sold to anyone else. And finally, some customers have asked us how to get email notifications about product patches or versions or new drivers and so on. It's pretty simple. I have a video here to demonstrate while I read the instructions. Just log on to LinkedIn and at the top see the menu item that says Interests. Select Groups and search for InduSoft. Under Groups section is the item InduSoft Wonderware by Schneider Electric. Then select it. The group heading is at the top. There's a Join button. Press it, and as soon as the administrator accepts you, you can enter the group and you will get emails at whatever address you have placed in the Your Settings field. You can get to settings by clicking on the I for information as is being shown in the video. Be sure to select the options that you want to receive as emails. The default settings will send you the product announcements and updates once a day with a digest of everything that has been added. You can add the delivery frequency and the pull down from daily to weekly as being shown here. Today we'll introduce a new cybersecurity ebook that InduSoft has published, along with introducing our new engineering services on demand. We'll look closer at the contents of the ebook to see why it might be useful to you or how it might benefit your projects. In addition, we'd also like to introduce another ebook that discusses the NIST cybersecurity framework and how to use it. This ebook will be a textbook for the cybersecurity certificate curriculum at University-Ruidoso. And finally, we'll have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Our speakers today are me, Richard Clark. I'm a technical resource for our marketing department and a longtime cybersecurity engineer. Here's my bio that is in our new book, and you can look at it in detail later if you have an interest in some of my previous projects. I have a long history of working with cybersecurity at Wonderware and InduSoft, and I even predate the ISA S99 and US CERT. I've also participated in forming the NIST cybersecurity framework during the workshops last year, along with our second speaker today, who is Stephen Miller, who is an associate professor and department chair of BNI Systems Cybersecurity Center of Excellence at University-Ruidoso. This is Stephen's bio from the second book that we're going to talk about today. Stephen has worked with information systems and IT for many years in business, government, and educational sectors, and is currently developing and teaching the cybersecurity certification program at ENMU. Excuse me. So let's get started. Um, I'll start our discussion today and talk about a few things we've been working on at InduSoft in order to help you and make your life easier when designing your projects and especially around implementing security in the projects that you are working on. Ruidoso and InduSoft have collaborated to produce a couple of ebooks available today for download on Smashwords or the InduSoft website. And fairly soon, a number of other book distributors like Apple's and Borders will also carry it. The first ebook is called InduSoft Application Design and SCADA Deployment Recommendations for Industrial Control System Security. And the second ebook is called Framework for SCADA Cybersecurity. Stephen and I are the authors and co-authors of these books, which I hope you'll find useful and helpful in designing, building, and securing your SCADA systems, and evaluating the level of cybersecurity protection that your systems and their networks currently have or need. The advantage of using the Smashworks store is that the books are updated with new information and versions. They remember what version you originally downloaded and will offer you the latest version to replace your previous download if you want it. Also, when you download the ebooks at Smashwords, you have the option to name your price. If you find these ebooks useful, you can set any price that you want to pay for them, and all proceeds go from the sale. All proceeds from the sale go to the Ruidoso Foundation. This is a tax-deductible contribution to a 501c3 corporation. So why did we put this security guide together? We have many sources of application design and security guidance in many places, and it seemed prudent to put it in one place that is valuable and at your fingertips. For instance, Chapter 1 is about designing and building your projects correctly, along with the things that should be considered when building a new project. The ebook contains many types of cybersecurity guidance that we have supplied over many years, including everything from runtime servers and IT guidance for control system networks to addressing issues with handheld smart devices and wireless networks. Additionally, some of our guidance has been through webinars, which are difficult to go back to and get specific points from. Valuable guidance from many webinars has been transcribed for you in this ebook, as well as some of the NIST cybersecurity framework information and a discussion of the CSET cybersecurity evaluation tool located in the appendices. Further information on these topics is available in the framework ebook Stephen is going to be discussing in a few minutes. The books are available in all ebook formats, and I've tested them on an iPhone and an iPad, and running iBooks on Apple and the Kindle app, and with Adobe Digital Foundations, and also the Adobe PDF Reader. They look great and are quite readable even on small format devices. We have the HTML format available for download, or we will have it pretty soon in a .zip file if you need it that way. However, you can go to the Smashwords website and read it in their HTML book interface. You can see from the table of contents and the various chapters and sections shown the great deal of diversity of cybersecurity information available in this ebook. Here's a quick overview of many of the subjects and the detail available in the guidance ebook. Since this is an ebook, it will be updated and added to as new information becomes available. As I mentioned, if you download these ebooks through Smashwords, you can download the later editions, and they will keep track of whatever version you have. For instance, in Chapter 1, we start with the basics and build from there. Over the years, InduSoft has provided a great deal of instructional product and security guidance, properly designing and constructing your projects and applications, along with the methods to secure your SCADA system and network from vulnerabilities. We have provided this guidance for the product itself and the potential environments where it could be used. We have offered recommendations on how to build your projects, and the philosophy that it should be embraced when doing so. We call this philosophy the application development life cycle, as shown here. All new projects should be designed with security as a primary goal or consideration. The security goal is then followed by safety as a design goal. Applications and machines should be operated and controlled safely and predictably when implementation is complete. Finally, functionality of the application needs to be addressed, which will complement the other two design goals. If the application is designed properly, it will contain all the above design goals and be secure, safe to operate, and intuitive for the operator. Not every SCADA project will have the same cybersecurity needs or requirements. We recognize that customers use InduSoft Web Studio in many different ways. Attempting to apply a generic security profile across a wide variety of SCADA applications will likely lead to unforeseen security holes and a great deal of trouble and possible security breaches down the road. Therefore, we have recommended many ways that security should be implemented. We have a diverse set of security guidance categories tailored to fit the specific implementation that you are using. We have provided development, design, security guidance in a number of ways, including inviting other outside experts to contribute and speak in our webinars. But sometimes this still isn't enough to help you with your engineering staff. Recognizing this need, we have implemented short-term engineering assistance available in 1-hour increments to help you with your projects. This service is an addition to the already established engineering assistance that has been available on a project-wide basis for some time. Our engineers are fully capable and qualified to assist your staff from the smallest details of a particularly tough design or implementation issue to a full-blown project design and implementation, and, if needed, making cybersecurity recommendations. See our recent corporate blog for details about this service. Here is how you get to the Services on Demand website. For those of you who can't see the words, it's in the menu Product and Services, then hover over Services to get to the link. So that's about all I have on these topics. And next up, we have Stephen Miller, and then finally we'll have a Q&A session at the end. And now I'll turn it over to Stephen.
All right, thank you, Richard, and hello to everyone. Thanks for attending this webinar. My name is Stephen Miller, and as Richard mentioned, I'm the Associate Professor for Business and Information Systems and the Director of the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence for Eastern New Mexico University out of Ruidoso, New Mexico. Our Center of Excellence is among the 1% of universities in the United States that are certified and accredited by the National Security Agency and Department of Homeland Security under the Center of Academic Excellence, Information Assurance, and Cyber Defense criteria. So we've just recently received that recognition, and we're pretty proud of it. I'll talk more about that later. My background in IT since about 1966, but around SCADA and control systems, working at NASA in telecommunications and control systems for the Apollo projects in mission control, and then on to TRW controls. We put in power utility SCADA systems and pipeline control systems. And that's how I came to work for Exxon, worked for Exxon Pipeline for 13 years, and then in refining and chemicals, and then global information systems, where I got to lead one of my jobs was to lead the security on the enterprise network and for Exxon. So if you look at what topics we're going to cover today. We're going to look at the purpose of the ebook and the key objectives that we want to get across in this ebook, outline of the content. So we'll cover the chapters. There's only 5 chapters and appendices in this book. We try to make it concise and something that would be useful. Not like some of the textbooks we have for our university courses where they're 900 pages. A lot of it is not useful. The training plans we have, I'll discuss those from a joint effort with InduSoft on our boot camp to our current cybersecurity programs at Eastern New Mexico University. And then also about our university and the programs we offer, and then we'll have a Q&A for both Richard and myself. So the purpose of the ebook was to provide a quick reference guide to the cybersecurity critical infrastructure framework, and to promote the awareness of cybersecurity in the critical infrastructure framework. The SCADA, to provide SCADA cybersecurity threats and vulnerabilities, to understand that what are the threats and the vulnerabilities, and this ties in real nicely with the framework. The importance of risk assessments, how to use the framework, and then an awareness on looking into and applying security in InduSoft Web Studio. Some of the benefits we feel like from this particular book is that it enables the boot camps. So our boot camps are going to be based off the content in the ebook. It's a good quick reference, and it also is based on the work experience gained at the framework workshops that the NIST sponsored and Department of Homeland Security that both Richard and I attended, and then also our university's relationship with the Idaho labs, who developed some of the tools to help support the risk assessments and and looking into how do you use the framework, and then also my experience in SCADA and IT. So looking at the key objectives for this ebook is we wanted to provide a knowledge of SCADA and cybersecurity environment. What are the types of SCADA systems? What are the threats and the risk? And then understanding how this applies and understanding the framework for the critical infrastructure. And then a knowledge of tools and processes for risk analysis, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of those tools. In particular, the CSET tool, it's a free tool for risk assessments. And then the ability to apply risk management processes to the right framework tier and for that organization. The tier is kind of like the level of, we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail, but it's the framework implementation tiers where an organization may fall within those tiers, and tier 1 is the beginning, and it runs through tier 4. And one thing about, then I'll talk later, but the framework does not, and the executive order does not require an organization to be at tier 4 or have to be at tier 4. So, but again, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Looking at the content of Chapter 1, Chapter 1 is, this chapter really provide an introduction to supervisory control and data acquisition, distributed control systems, and process control systems, and what they are and how they're used. And then we look at cybersecurity vulnerabilities in general, and those that are of a higher concern for the SCADA and the process control systems. There's also some forensics included in the book on how to look at how, if you've been compromised or if you have a potential to be compromised. In Section 1, we have an overview. Again, I kind of call Section 1 what is SCADA as SCADA 101. again, we're trying to use this ebook also for our students, and so many of them have not that much insight into SCADA systems, although I'm beginning to see more and more, which is good. The history, we'll talk about the history of the install base and how SCADA systems work, and in more depth looked at the SCADA systems, the field devices, PLCs, RTUs, and talk about embedded devices and how they're impacted by security. And also we'll give some examples of HMI screens and displays under which the SCADA systems provide information to operators and supervisors and the business indices, and then how those could be compromised and used against a system to be to end up being compromised. Anyway, one of the things that I think about when I think HMI, when I started in the SCADA business, we used to call it the man-machine interface. So things have changed a little bit. Anyway, Section 2 is the overview of the cyber vulnerabilities, and this is the section basically that looks at challenges of securing information, understanding and defining information security, and also cyber threat sources to control and SCADA system descriptions. We'll also cover the different types of attacks and defense, and then how can you scan and look at penetration testing. One of our classes we teach in our programs is ethical hacking and defense, and part of that is penetration testing. And then in Section 3 of Chapter 1 is understanding the control system vulnerabilities and gaining control over SCADA systems and understanding the different categories. This information really came out of the Idaho labs and the work we did with Idaho labs. And Eric Cornelius was at that time the head of Department of Homeland Security at Idaho labs and worked with us as an engineer and basically defined the three categories as a modern and then the modern proprietary and then the legacy proprietary. So we did some work in a boot camp about 18 months ago with a company, and they were definitely a legacy proprietary, even with Data General computers still in their part of their control system. So there's a lot of that, I guess, still out there, which amazed me. When we get into Chapter 2, we're going to be looking at the cybersecurity framework introduction. And basically, Chapter 2 is to strengthen, is based on the resilience of the infrastructure and President Obama's Executive Order 13636, which is improving the critical infrastructure cybersecurity. That was signed on February 12th of 2013, and that executive order calls for the development of a volunteer cybersecurity framework, and that provides a prioritized, flexible, and repeatable, performance-based and cost-effective approach to managing cybersecurity risk for processes, for information, for systems directly involved in the delivery of critical infrastructure services. And if you're not sure of what those critical infrastructure services are, the list starts with like the chemical sector, then the commercial facilities sector, communications, critical manufacturing, dams, defense industry, emergency services, energy, financial services, food and agriculture, the government facilities, healthcare and public health, IT in general, nuclear reactors, materials and waste sector, the transportation sector, and last but not least, the water and wastewater systems. So you may be one of those sectors, and so this could be very important to you. And even if you're not, we actually provide this framework for running, looking at it from the IT perspective on even small businesses that may not be considered critical infrastructure. So part of this Chapter 2, looking at Section 1, we're looking at the framework introduction and the overview of the framework, and basically the framework core and the functions within that core. There's basically 5 functions, and that's identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. And then within those functions are categories, and this is all in the book. And then, of course, the subcategories, and then references, which when I start talking about some of the tools, I think it'll help you see how the references and the subcategory information has already been tied together by work that's been done by the Department of Homeland Security and the labs. In Section 2 is the risk management and the cybersecurity framework, and we look at risk management kind of redefined, and that's a process of identifying the vulnerabilities and taking careful and reasonable steps to ensure that the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the information systems and the enterprise infrastructure and network are intact. And we look at, in this particular chapter and section, we'll be looking at the risk, identifying risk and risk assessment and risk control, which are all incorporated into the framework as well. The Chapter 3, the purpose of the framework is to provide a common language to enable understanding, managing, and communicating the cybersecurity risk both internally and externally. That externally could be to the public, to your vendors, and internally, of course, is with your employees and contractors. It is intended for use in helping to identify and prioritize actions for reducing cybersecurity risk. And the framework is a tool. It's used for aligning policy and business and technological approaches to managing risk. And that's really important. And I think one of the things we point out in our one of our tools or processes in risk assessment is looking at something called the control analysis process, and I'll talk about that a little bit longer or a little bit later. And basically, in that process, you kind of look at it at risk and security from the technology perspective, from the service risk management perspective, and from a business and application risk management perspective, and all those tie in together. Anything that happens to change, either in, it's kind of like change management if you're familiar with ITIL practices, anything that would change in any of those areas, technical, service, or business, then there needs to be a reassessment made. So there's also we cover the different types of entities, including the sector coordinating structures, associations, and organizations that can use framework for different purposes, including the creation of common profiles. And we'll talk about the profiles when I talk about the tool, the CSET tool that's in our appendices. In Chapter 3, in addition to the framework basis and the core, then we also look at the framework implementation tiers. That's the level of how the organization views their cybersecurity risk and processes, and where they actually fall within tier 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, or 4, and 4 being at the highest level, and the most implemented. I think it's a little bit, and the book goes into that. You have to kind of tie this to your business requirements and what's best for your particular organization and your business, and cost versus benefit. And the whole framework helps you do that, along with the CSET tool. In Section 3 of this Chapter 3, we also kind of look at how does it all come together, and how do you use the framework and these risk assessments and these tools. And one of the things that I tried to add in here was a look at the framework from a business process management approach to the framework. And being a certified business process reengineering analyst at one time in my career, I like to put things in that perspective. And so you'll see kind of how we look at the framework, or I look at the framework from a business process management perspective, which might help in communicating with management. Also, how the cybersecurity framework assessment process model breaks down into components. We actually developed a decomposition for the process of the framework itself. And then in Chapter 4, the purpose of that chapter is to look at how an organization can use the framework as a key part or an enabler of its current processes for identifying and assessing and managing the cybersecurity risk. So one thing is that the framework is not designed to replace any existing processes, and the organization can use its current processes or overlay what they have onto the framework to determine what the gaps are in their current cybersecurity risk approach, and then develop a roadmap for how they want to improve that based on the cost and the probability of a risk, and whether they want to mitigate that risk or not. Also, we cover using the framework as a cybersecurity risk management tool, and can enable the organization to determine the activities that are most important to their service delivery and the priorities that they have as a business, and to reduce the risk and maximize the impact on their investment in IT and in security, which is always an issue with management. And then the framework for improving the critical infrastructure, we will use the CSET tool, which is something I'll talk about when we get into the appendices. As Richard already covered, we embedded in this ebook is the InduSoft security guide, and so that's our Chapter 5 of this particular ebook. So going on to the appendices, we have the framework core. So this came right from the NIST, and it'll be updated as the NIST updates each version. And then we have a CSET tool information, how to load that CSET tool, and then references and a glossary of terminology, which I think is really important, especially for our students. The CSET tool, this is a screen from the current version of 6.1. We worked, our university worked, as I mentioned, with Idaho Labs, and we've been working with them on this tool to do risk assessments since their version 3 came out, and with Eric, as I mentioned, Cornelius. And so we're quite familiar with this. It's included in our courses, and the thing about this is that it ties in to the 6.1 tied in the Security Framework Implementation tiers and the Framework Profile Management. So, and I can demo that here in a few minutes if you want to see it, if we have time. But basically, it helps put that in perspective of what, and gives you some help. Actually, there's a help for each one of the tiers that you go through in the framework, and each one of the functions. So looking at identifying, protecting, detecting, response, and recover. And then this profile management is what where you are along those tiers, and what your current profile would be. Now you can start from scratch on this, and in fact, if you're a company that doesn't have a lot of work done in risk assessment, this is a good tool to start with. It helps educate the staff. The CSET tool, as I mentioned, is the Department of Homeland Security. It's a no-cost tool that assists organizations in protecting their key national assets. And the tool provides users with a systematic, consistent, and standards-based approach for assessing the security posture of their information technology systems and their networks. It actually has network graphs that you can input into the system if you have Visio. It's what it supports. The tool uses high-level and detailed questions related to all industry control and IT systems. That includes the NIST Cybersecurity Critical Infrastructure Framework. But if I can show you this demo in a minute, it also includes all the standards that the NIST have come out based on what industry that you may be in. The value of that tool really is that it can guide the key stakeholders, custodians, and the owners in systematically understanding their current IT and control system environment, and then potential gaps in security, and then assist in developing a plan to close those gaps. And the tool also includes instructional videos, help screens, and information not only about the tool, but also about all the standards that the NIST has developed over the years. So the kind of change direction here for a few minutes and kind of talk about our training programs at Eastern New Mexico University. And we're basically, like I mentioned, the CAE 2Y accredited curriculum. Our computer network security programs, all of our programs, our associate's degrees and our certifications are all online. We have virtual labs that we use. NDG Net Labs are our basis for those. They're part of this Committee on National Security Systems, and so our program is designed to provide students when they graduate as an information system security professional, and with 4011 certification and the CNSSI 4016, which is an entry-level analyst, and then the CAE, the Center of Academic Excellence 2Y criteria, which is based on knowledge units, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The courses in this self-paced classes, it takes if you sign up for the self-pace, you have a year to complete all of these courses, and the cost is $24.95. It's also DoD compliant certification, even for the certification, not just our associate's degree. We also these are the credit hours if you so wish to go with the credit hours. The credit hours, of course, are based on semesters, 16-week semesters, where the self-pace is all online. The associate's degree of applied science and information systems cybersecurity, that program is also accredited also by DoD 8570, And we have a career path to 4-year degrees. All these 4-year career paths are articulation agreements that we have with universities that are have their programs completely online. So in theory, you can get your degrees and certificates without actually going on campus. And so we have an articulation agreement with New Mexico Tech. We have one with Excelsior College out of Albany, New York, and they also have a campus there in Washington, D.C., Maryland area. With the University of Maryland, we're working on that one, and New Mexico State University. So we try to look at this from a career path perspective. We're also a CompTIA Security Plus and an ISC2 partner in academics, so we do teach courses that provide those certifications. And our focus on these programs is looking at information assurance and cybersecurity based on the people and the software, hardware, data, security, communication technologies, and then how these components can be integrated and managed to create a competitive and secure environment. One of the things that we hope to do from the ebook, and one of the bases for the ebook, was to use it as the text for a boot camp, and we're looking at a 4-day boot camp. We've had experience with boot camps with the Department of Energy. About 18 months ago, we were on a grant where we provided similar type of 5-day training in SCADA on security, and basically this was before we actually had the framework in place. So the framework adds to that, I believe. This course would cover the orientation, introduction to cybersecurity and SCADA, using the CompTIA Security Plus key topics, and then the SCADA cybersecurity recommended practices, infrastructure guiding principles, and the National Infrastructure Protection Plan. So you could basically, as a result, would have an IS 821 and 860 certificate. These are important because it's this communications outside and with the government and other industries and vendors. And so it's important to understand the National Infrastructure Protection Plan if you're in the U.S. anyway. Also, the cybersecurity critical infrastructure framework and the control analysis process I mentioned before, but those are just the controls analysis process is a way to assess and do risk assessments, and it ties in really nice with the framework. And then we also would have an introduction to SCADA products and how to apply security in the InduSoft environment. And the last day of that workshop would tie around would be working on a case, and we ask students to bring in their own. We give them some information they can bring in, and then get started with their own IT environment to run the CSET tool, and based on the critical infrastructure framework or whatever standards their industry may. You have that option of running it in different modes. A little bit about our university as far as the accreditations and recognition from Homeland Security and the National Security Agency, and also from the Committee on National Security Systems, which also provides some of the standards that are in the CSET tool. We were accredited in December of this year, and our National Center of Academic Excellence in Information Assurance and Cybersecurity Defense goes through academic year 2019. So this is, they make us update this on an ongoing basis, and we are audited on those bases. Also, based on the university's ability to meet the increasing demands of the program criteria that is ever changing, as you all know, if you're in the business. And then we have to meet 11 knowledge units to be certified. And these knowledge units are basically basic data analysis. So we have to cover this criteria in our curriculum, and the students have to show proficiency and through the labs and examinations. So basic, as I mentioned, basic data analysis, basic scripting or introductory programming, cyber defense, cyber threats, fundamental security design principles, information assurance fundamentals, an introduction to cryptography, IT system components, and network concepts, policies, legal, ethics, and compliance, and then systems administration. And then we have special knowledge units that we have not been certified but are working toward, and part of that is with these boot camps would be for, we are on the risk assessment, we are certified, but we're not on SCADA, and that's where we're working toward a special knowledge unit for SCADA systems. As I mentioned, we actually use virtual labs in our online classes, so our students get hands-on experience, and in addition, we have students that participate in capstone national cyber league competitions. So we actually require that our students to participate in those. Now, not for professional classes, but this is for our associate's degree and our in cybersecurity. This is the contact information. If you would like to email me, or you can actually call me. I get my emails and everything on my cell phone. So this is the link to the university, and this is the link to my academic Center of Excellence webpage. And then this is the link to get to the U.S. CERTS control system standards that'll get you into where the you can get into the CSET tool. What I'd like to do, I think we have a little time here to show you a little bit more about.
Yeah, there's plenty of time, Stephen. You can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I was thinking. Well, this is something I didn't get a chance to do for the other group. I should have thought about it. But first of all, just let me take you to our website. So this is our website. It's that www.ruidoso.enmu.edu, and it's education with altitude. That's because we're 7,200 feet above sea level. We're up in the Sacramento mountain range. But anyway, if you go to the cybersecurity button on here, it takes you into our Center of Excellence website and talks a little bit about that. And of course, we're a stay safe online champion and provide awareness training as well at no cost to the community. But the thing I wanted to point out here, if you go to the cybersecurity programs and courses that are offered, that'll show you our different our courses that we have, both professional and accredited courses. And I'll click on that in a minute. Before I do that, the competition, I mentioned the competition. We just finished the fall competitions, and one of our students, in fact, is on here. Johnny, he scored in his first round. He scored, I think it was 30. It's probably in the thing here. It was 36 or something out of 34th out of 560. But out of all competition of 1,500 plus students, and these are both what they, including students from MIT and Stanford and all that, he came out 96th. So our helps kind of confirm that our programs are working. As far as if you look at the self-paced cybersecurity certification programs, we actually do the CompTIA Security Plus Prep program. That's just you have 6 months to complete it. It's all self-paced, includes the virtual labs and the book. It's $650 for that 6 months. And then if you are interested in the certification for the InfoSec 4011 and 4016 and the DoD certification, that's the course that is the 12-month self-paced. Again, all the textbooks, and you have an option of either going with e-books or textbooks, whichever you prefer, along with the labs are also included in that. And we leave the labs open for our alumni to go in and use if they want to kind of train themselves or retrain themselves on the new technology. If you want to enroll in these courses, you can, if you go to this site, but mainly contact Coda Omna. She's our community ed director, and you can email her at that address, or you can contact me. You have my contact information. So now something of more real work. This is the CSET tool, and it comes up here so you can create your assessments. You can actually open up multiple assessments, because you may have assessments that you use from that are under different standards, including the framework. And so I'm going to open up this one that I have in existence. And again, this is a free product. You can use us to help train you on the product, or you can train yourself with the videos. As I mentioned, it has its own video tutorials, and what they've done is they've changed it now. Most of this is out on, they put them on YouTube, and so when you click on the video, and I'll demo that in a minute, you actually get the YouTube. So my students actually have access to the YouTube videos now instead of through the tool. So you start out with the information of whatever your the assessment name is and whatever. This is just and then the next thing is you're going to look at standards. And so you have an approach. What approach do you want to take on your cybersecurity evaluation? Do you want a questions-based standard? So then if you do that, then you have to look at what are those questions, and what are the security assurance levels for that. And then if it's standards requirements based, then it's a little bit, and I'll just give you an example. So this is where under standards, and this was under the old criteria, you had the standards. And so as you can see here, here's the NIST special publication for 800.8.2 and the revs along with that, sector specific. So if you're a pipeline security guidelines, you could click this. It'll actually add those questions in your risk assessment. And then the SAL is a security assurance level. So if I look at the security assurance level, these you can say general security levels, and there's a set of questions, and it explains okay, what type of a emergency could you have as far as injury, hospital, whatnot. Let me get I thought I had this thing so it wouldn't, there we go. Sorry about that. And then, so this would give a certain type of a general level for that security assurance. And then the NIST security, if you want to go with their standards, then there's a whole set of information based off of this particular NIST Volume 1 or 2. And then we can go back, let me go back here again to the modes, and then we go into cybersecurity framework. this is what uses the actual framework itself. Now, we talked about the tiers, so you have a risk management process, Tier 1. The good thing about this, it explains everything as you go along. So here's what a Tier 1 risk management process. So maybe you're at Tier 1 in risk management processes, but integrated risk management program, you're well, probably you would be at 1 there. Maybe you're better at a risk assessment. And then external participation, how much you have there. So you'd select those and then click OK. And then the framework model, this is where you set up your profiles. And so we already have our profile set, which is a set of questions. And then the next thing, I'm just going to try to go through this fairly fast, is the a diagram that you can import in, so you can, or you can create your own diagram of your network, and it'll actually do a real-time analysis of, for example, if we took this firewall out and we do an analysis here, it'll give us a warning that we have a potential exposure between this corporate router and the SCADA IDS router. And so, and then as you go along with the, from selecting what you, for asset management, then these are you have to determine, are your physical devices and systems within the organization, are they inventoried? So you say yes, no. And so as you select these things, and it also gives you some descriptions. You can always, if you click on the eye, that gives you a description. You can also add documentation. So I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but I just wanted to kind of give you a feel. And then once you're finished with all the questions, you go to the analysis, and it would run an analysis on your assessments on how you answered the questions, and gives you the top categories of concern. And so it has a high level, and then you can run reports. And these reports can be an executive summary, a site summary if you just want a specific site that maybe you have a tank farm if you were a pipeline company and you just want to run that on that particular site. You could just run the requirements on that site. And then with detail options, and then what your security plan, it will actually help you that. And then you can put it in a PDF or a doc or docx. So that's a real quick, and I mentioned the, here would be, they put all these, as I mentioned, out on YouTube now. So, so you have to copy and paste the, this all used to be integrated, but if I call that up real quick, I'll just give you an example of. And I don't have it, but anyway, this is on reports. So they have very good tutorials on this that explain everything that you need to know about the that particular function, and they're all out there. So anyway, that's kind of an overview, and I guess I can turn this back over to Richard.
Okay, great, Stephen. Thank you very much for your presentation. We do have a couple of questions, and one of them actually pertains to your course and the book, the textbook. Let's see. Here it is here. Okay. You mentioned forensics in your textbook. Do you cover the forensic signature of various prominent ICS protocols such as Modbus, Profibus, Ethernet IP, CIP, Modbus TCP, and DNP3? This is like a two-tier question. First of all, I'd like to say that if you have or are designing a system right now and need assistance, it's probably better to get a subject matter expert, such as someone from our engineering staff, to assist you in your selection of protocols if you're concerned about cybersecurity and the issues involved. The question also asks if this information is in your textbook, and well, I don't think it will be in this particular course.
No,
but
it won't.
You want to discuss that a little bit?
We don't go into that much detail on that in that area. That's something that we are going to be working with InduSoft and maybe the engineers there to see if that's something. One of the things that we'd like to have is feedback on what would be of value to customers, and so if that's something that you have an interest in, and I guess when you send in your surveys too, that'd be good to have some feedback on that, so we can definitely look at incorporating that into the boot camp, or maybe it's a separate course. One of the long-term goals is to put all this online, as a matter of fact, so that if you and some of the new thinking on education is that maybe you just have certain learning modules that you need to have access to. So if that's a particular area you were interested in, we'd have learning modules on that. That's all you have to go look at and take, and instead of maybe going through an entire course.
Okay. As you can see on your screen, if you have a question, type it into the Q&A field of the WebEx interface, and we'll be able to see it and answer it. I have some other questions here. One was, will the recording be available after the conference? And the answer is yes. It will be posted on our website under the support tab. There is a link for videos and then webinars, and this being the last one will be at the top. Also, you'll be sent a link to this particular video, WebEx video, in a follow-up email. The next question. How does InduSoft SCADA cybersecurity procedures fit with the overall Schneider Electric cybersecurity policy? There is a Schneider Electric cybersecurity website that answers all the vulnerabilities and patches, etc. in the Schneider portfolio. Being InduSoft right now, we are not fully integrated into Schneider and or Wonderware, so we are still relying on our own cybersecurity guidance, and I expect sometime in the future there will be an integration, and I guess we could talk to that point a little bit later, but we're still too new. We're still kind of finding out where everybody is at this particular point. Let's see. Oh, and he just put the link down here. So let's see. I don't have any cues at this point. All right. Let's see. Any other questions at all? I don't think so. Okay. Well, we're 5 after the hour. I'll just close off here in a couple of things, and if you have another question, just type it in. I'll be able to see it. So thanks for attending. Here's how to contact us. If you need to contact any of the worldwide offices, here is the contact information. And also, don't forget to fill out your InduSoft webinar survey, and it'll come in an email pretty soon to you, and we'll send you one of our free famous webinar series t-shirts. So I still don't see any new questions, so I guess that will do it for today. Thank you all for attending, and please come back and see us again.